PD74 away from SupplementReviews.com. How's it going, everybody? Today we got our second mailbag question, and that would be, PD, I've heard that shoulder presses behind the neck, lat pull downs behind the neck, and upright rows can be bad for my shoulders. Is this true, and why so? Well, starting with the shoulder press. The argument I always get for why people are doing them is that it's going to get the most recruitment of the anterior deltoids in the shoulder. Okay, well, here we got to remember risk versus reward. If you're doing depth jumps to activate your quadriceps, a higher height is going to cause more muscle activation. Yet you're not going to go over to my balcony here on the third floor of my apartment building and jump off to do depth jump to activate your quadriceps, because you're going to shatter all the bones in your body. Alright, so risk versus reward. Just because you can do something and it might get a lot of activation doesn't mean it's the best thing for the long run of your overall health. Alright, if you want to be more specific here, when you're doing the behind the neck shoulder presses, you are causing extreme external rotation and extreme horizontal abduction of the shoulder. You're forcing it to operate in this extended range of motion that your body isn't necessarily meant to be working in. Just because you can put a barbell behind your neck and press it doesn't mean it's a good idea. Okay? You're going to get the same activation from pressing in front of the head as you would from doing the behind the neck presses that are contraindicated. Looking at other things here that we just mentioned earlier, such as the behind the neck lat pull down and the upright row, the issue that I have here is the same thing that's going to happen with the behind the neck shoulder press. What's happening when you do any of these is you're forcing the infraspinatus, oh my god, been a long day, supraspinatus of the shoulder to be rubbing against the acromion process. The supraspinatus, for those of you that aren't really familiar with anatomy, is also referred to as one of the muscles in the rotator cuff. Okay, this is one of the injuries you see a lot of the times with sports that involve a lot of throwing, or like quarterbacks, baseball pitchers specifically, and they have a lot of irritation in those tissues as well from repetitive use. You see, when you're working with these behind the neck exercises, what you're doing is you're forcing the supraspinatus to rub, like I said, and it's causing inflammation of that tissue. This is also known as shoulder impingement syndrome, because your inflammation of the rotator cuff, specifically supraspinatus. Okay, so it's not a fun thing to have if you've never had it before, and it can be easily avoided by being smart with your shoulder health. Okay, I mean, these are three of the things that are I just would never recommend anybody do due to the risk that's associated with them. You can also see shoulder impingement syndrome if you're working out of your range of motion on some of your presses, such as your bench press, if you're having your hands out too wide, or if you're flaring your elbows too much, and it just can be an form error thing. Okay, I mean, if something isn't biomechanically correct, you're going to have some problems. And with these three, the risk just outweighs the reward, in my opinion. And I would honestly never advise them, nor should any strength coach with knowledge of what they're doing. I mean, if I see anybody actually recommending this, I'm probably going to kick them in the back of the head. Okay, you know, I know some of you are out there thinking, but I do behind the neck shoulder presses all the time and I've never had an issue. Well, okay, if you listen really carefully about this point right now, you can hear the sound of the gym is rustling softly through the night. I don't care. Unless you have a degree in biomechanics, you can prove otherwise that it's not going to cause a shoulder impingement. All the research to this point is pointing in the favor of not doing them. Okay? So, I'm pretty sure that was very clear that you're going to get some nasty inflammation of the shoulder joint that doesn't necessarily have to happen by doing these three exercises. I mean, stick to stuff that's going to be in your body's range of motion. Keep it in front of your head when you're doing your shoulder presses. Honestly, that's the only overhead work I even recommend. I mean, so few people I know don't even recommend pressing anything above the body, above shoulder level, just because of where it puts the shoulders. It puts them in a compromising position. That's a discussion for another day, and I'm not going to get into it right now. Even when you do your lateral raises, or you're doing dumbbell front raises, keep in mind that I wouldn't go above shoulder height. I mean, there's no need to go above that. You're going to get the same muscle activation without putting your shoulders in a compromising position, without shifting around your shoulder joint. Understand it this way. Okay, there's two ball and socket joints in your body, and that is your shoulder and your hip. Okay? And I guess comparing the two, which one's going to have more range of motion? Obviously your shoulder, right? And now think of how easy it is to dislocate your shoulder compared to how easy it is to dislocate your hip. You know, okay, think of there's all that extra tissue. It's a very much stronger joint when you were talking about your hip joint there, but what it has, it sacrifices mobility for strength. Versus your shoulder, it has that extended range of motion. You can move it all different directions that in ways your hip can't, but at the same time it's sacrificing stability and strength for range of motion. So keep everything in perspective, and I'm more than happy to have the discussion with you and give you my thoughts on it. I guess that wraps that up. It's very straightforward, simple, and to the point. If there's any more discussion that needs to be done on it, I'm more than willing to, discuss it in the forum, or if you want to have a follow-up video of alternatives, which will probably actually be something I'm going to cover, as well as some rehabilitation exercises if you do happen to get an impingement of your shoulder. That'll be on the way as well. But for today, that's what I have for you. So please don't be doing behind the neck stuff. It's just not worth it, and you're not going to be lifting if you have a nasty shoulder impingement in your shoulder. Okay, so this has been PD7408 from SupplementReviews.com. Discuss this in the forum. Check out our Facebook page and like us if you'd like to win some free stuff. That's always a good way to make your week. And follow us on Twitter at sr.com to stay up to date on what the crazy crew at SR is up to. Have a good day, everybody, and